Hello YouTube, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Now in today's video we're going to be covering macronutrients. This is the second episode of the full guide on how to build muscle. In today's video you're going to learn about protein, carbohydrates and calories. At the end I'm also going to give you a list of carbs and protein choices to take away. Now let's jump right into this video. The first thing we're going to be talking about is protein. What is protein, you may ask? Well, protein is simply, it acts as the muscle building blocks to your growth. So, in order to recover from anything, you need sleep, of course. But in muscle growth, you need protein as your main recovery source. So, when you go train, you essentially break muscle fibers, you genuinely break muscle fibers. When those muscle fibers are broken and damaged, in order to restore them and grow them bigger, you need protein. And of course the recommended uses is what I'm going to be covering just now. The recommended use for protein, there is a couple of methods, but in this video I'm just going to be covering one. If you want to learn more about the other methods, I have covered them on my YouTube channel. But for just now, I'm just going to focus on one method, which is the 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, which is the most common used method when it comes to bodybuilding and achieving hypertrophy. So this method is very, very simple. There is no confusion to this. Basically, you eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if I was 200 pounds, I would then have to eat 200 grams of protein. If I was 160 pounds, I would have to eat 160 grams of protein. It is as simple as it is. Now, there are other methods, as I mentioned. I have covered them on my YouTube channel, but if you would like to learn more about protein, I will leave some useful links in the description that you guys may benefit from. The next thing we're going to be mentioning is carbohydrates, is the next topic. So what are carbohydrates, you may ask? Carbohydrates are simply the fuel to the body. Without carbohydrates, the body will simply not work. Now, I use this analogy a lot. Say, for example, a car. Just imagine a car. If a car did not have any fuel in it, will it be able to run and drive? No, it wouldn't. It would just combust, stop. Now the body's the same way without any carbs. If a body did not have any carbs in it, it would simply just stop and combust. No energy. That is how important carbohydrates are. The recommended use. How do we use carbohydrates? The recommended use, Nick, what is the recommended use? 300 to 400 grams of carbohydrates per day, which is the recommended use from scientists. Now, it doesn't matter if you're in a bulk, calorie deficit, or a surplus, or even a maintenance. All you're meant to be eating, the same range, is 300 and 400 grams of carbohydrates per day. So this, if you're a beginner, I would recommend you stick from 300 and make your way up to 400 is the way I would do it. The next thing we're going to be talking about is calories. So how do we find out our calories and what our calories are? So calories, I'm pretty sure everyone is aware of what calories are. Simply, I'm going to use this analogy as well. So say, for example, calories are basically out there to make us know how much energy is in a piece of food or a piece of ingredient. Our bodies have a certain maintenance of calories and a certain deficit and a surplus of calories, which is basically the bulking and deficit things. So what is the recommended use of calories? There's no perfect recommendation for everyone. Simply, I will leave a link in the description, as always, to a website called calorie.net. In this website, when you click, it's completely free. All you're going to do is type in your age, your height, how much time you exercise per week, and it's going to give you a general maintenance calories, and that's how much you should eat in order to maintain your body weight. and in order to be in a bulk, you would simply add 200 to 300 calories on top of your maintenance. In order to be in a deficit, you would take away 200 to 300 calories from your maintenance. It's basically how calories are done. Lastly, guys, before we finish off, I just want to give you a list of carbohydrates and protein choices, starting with carbohydrates. So now that you've got a full explanation of what carbohydrates are and what they do to the body, I thought that would be a good idea if I give you guys something to take away and actually use in your day-to-day life. So carbohydrates, a list of carbohydrates. I would recommend brown rice, which is number 1. 2, white rice, sweet potato or normal potato. Then I would recommend vegetables, specifically green leaves, spinach, all of that sort. And the 5th carbohydrate choice I would recommend is nuts. Nuts, cashews, peanuts, almonds, all of those are a lovely carbohydrate choice. So those are your 5 top carbohydrate choices. Now there are countless, but as a beginner, guys, as this is a beginner guide, I would recommend you stick to the top 5 at the moment to avoid any confusion and overwhelming. The next thing we're going to be talking about is protein choices. Now, there's no overcomplication. There's just 5 main choices, which is chicken, beef, we've got then pork, we've got duck, which is a really popular thing in the UK, and then we have got fish. And then there's also the side, as in nuts as well, as I mentioned in the carbohydrate choices. Nuts are really rich in carbohydrates and protein in general, but those are just the 5 top protein choices. Now, the next thing I'm gonna want to say is that I'm gonna give you a little side effect warning for these macronutrients. Now, before you go ahead and overthink of how much you should consume, blah blah blah, is this okay for me? Oh, I'm a 14-year-old kid. Should I be consuming XYZ amount of carbs or protein? No, calm down. I'm basically gonna tell you that there's no risk in a high protein diet, there is risk of a low protein diet, but there's generally no found risk of a high protein diet. Like, it would genuinely do more good to you than it would do bad. There is no risk. There is these fitness influencers out there that just chat shit for clout. All they say is, oh, they damage kidneys, they do this. No, protein, my friends, increase testosterone and it will do good to you. Carbohydrates, there's no risk of carbohydrates. Of course, you can gain fat from carbohydrates, so I would be careful and stay to the range of 300 to 400 grams per day. Calories, again, there's no risk of, well, of course there's a risk. There's a logical risk of calories. If you overconsume them, you'll gain fat. If you don't consume them as much, you will lose fat and you will genuinely feel more exhausted, which is why I recommend you eat somewhere around your maintenance in order to fuel your day and fuel your workouts. So that is going to conclude the video. I thank you so much for watching. Please hit that like button and subscribe. If you want to learn more about these kind of topics, I will leave some useful links in the description for you guys in order to get educated more on this. Stay tuned for the rest of my series, which I'm going to be covering, of the full how to build muscle guide. It's just going to be a step-by-step guide. Now, this is the second part covered, or the first part covered of what we're yet to discover and cover of this how to build muscle guide. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, simply contact me at MuscleDamage@outlook.com. My email link will be in the description as always. Thank you for watching. Stay safe.